Good day everyone and welcome to the round 17 AFL fantasy wrap-up video after what was a bit of an up and down week for many, but in terms of how my team went, I scored 22.62 this week, which was probably around par I think for the round, and yeah, my ranking improved about 100 spots to 709th overall, which is not a bad result, especially considering I had a failed captain this week, so yeah, I'll definitely take it. Looking back at the trades that I made going into the round now, and they were Macomb to True and Jackson to Dawson, which were pretty stock standard trades that will definitely work out in the long term for me. So yeah, I'm happy with them. Looking back at the team now, starting in defence, Sam Doherty 114. He really jumped up in the last quarter to reach that score, which was awesome to watch from a fantasy perspective. And yeah, that's what he does, Doherty. He just always finds a way to score well. Jordan Dawson, 76 on debut for me this week, and yeah, a bit unlucky that he got tagged in this game, but he still managed to lay 10 tackles, which saved his score from being disastrous, so it was a good effort from him overall. Jack Sinclair, 109. He just continues his red hot form. Sinclair, he's been one of my best trade-ins of the season, that's for sure. Jack Crisp, 95. He hasn't been amazing of late, Crisp, so hopefully he can have a big end to the season, but yeah, 95 is still a very solid score from him in the end. George Hewitt, 94. He continues to be pretty solid, Hewitt. He's still around the mark to be a top 6 defender, you'd think, so he's probably a keeper for the season at this point. And James Sicily, 108. He was great. He took 13 marks, which is what he does best, and yeah, similar to Hewitt, we probably keep him for the season now, you'd think. Onto the midfield now. Clayton Oliver, 99. Finished the game with what turned out to be a fractured thumb, so it looks like he'll miss a week, unfortunately, which, yeah, at this time of year is probably a trade for mine. Lockie Neal, 67 as captain this week, which was a bummer. He copped a really heavy tag from Caldwell, who did a fantastic job on him, by the way, so yeah, that wasn't ideal, but that happens in fantasy from time to time, and you just got to cop it on the shin and move on, I think. Andy Brayshaw, 144. He was enormous yet again, and my midfield definitely needed a big score like that this week. And yeah, as I say every week, he's just one of my favourite players to watch, Brayshaw. Jack McRae, 87. This was a strange one as, yeah, he was on track for a nice score, but he kind of just went missing in the second half, which was a bit disappointing, and it probably just sums up the sort of season he's had. Jack McRae has just been very inconsistent. Touk Miller, 106. He was pretty good again, and yeah, we definitely take that score from him. Josh Kelly, 93. A little disappointing this week from Kelly, but it wasn't a great night for the Giants against Port, so hopefully he can bounce back next week. Zach Merritt, 127. He continues his amazing form, Merritt, and he's now averaging 124 in his last 3, so yeah, absolutely wrapped with how he's going. Ben Keys, 118. He's been fantastic of late, Ben Keys, which has been nice to see, and yeah, he's definitely proving to be a nice point of difference for me now. On to the rucks now. Darcy Cameron, 87. Not a bad score from him, but he has slowed down a bit over the last couple of weeks and is dropping a bit in price now, and Grundy's not too far away from returning as well, so he could be an option to trade out this week, I think. Riley O'Brien, 90. He wasn't too bad, and I'll definitely take that score from him. Now on to the forwards. Josh Dunkley, 68. He was poor this week, as were most of the Dogs in general, but everyone owns him, so it doesn't matter too much. Stephen Cornelio, 116. He's just flying at the moment, and I saw a stat floating around saying that he is only second to Clayton Oliver for points scored since round 10, so yeah, he's just been in super form. Marcus Bontempelli, 94. He was okay. He's been a solid pick for me, so yeah, he'll be fine. Adam Treloar, 102. Interesting that he played in defence during this game, which wasn't too bad for his scoring as he took some kick-ins, but yeah, I doubt he'll play there again as yeah, he's definitely not a defender, and yeah, it just didn't turn out for the Dogs in that game. Will Brody, 93. He was good once again. He's been one of the most consistent players in fantasy this season. And Daniel Rioli, 108. He's going really well at the moment, Rioli, and yeah, he's been a nice point of difference for me over the last few weeks. So at the moment, there's probably no need to trade him out while he's in this sort of form. So now I'll talk a bit about what my trade plans are at this stage heading into round 18. And yeah, obviously the starting point for many this week will be what to do with Clayton Oliver, who has that fractured thumb and will most likely miss this week against Port. He hasn't officially been ruled out, but I definitely say it'd be more likely than not that he misses. And yeah, ideally I would love to hold on to him as he's just an absolute gun and he's been one of the best midfielders in fantasy this season. But I think at this stage of the year, with only 6 rounds to go, I think we'll probably have to look to trade him out. I think as if we choose to hold on to him, we're basically throwing away 50 to 60 points by fielding a rookie there, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense for me at this stage of the year. As a lot of people are close to having completed teams, and with 2 trades a week, we can definitely afford to use a trade on him. So I'll look to trade him out this week. As for the options that I could look at to bring in for him, obviously I would love to have someone like Rory Laird in my team, but he's very expensive now, and I think the ship might have sailed a bit on him. And yeah, I definitely could use the extra cash, so I'd probably pass on Rory Laird, but I definitely would recommend to some other people out there to definitely get Laird if cash is not a factor. So the 2 options I'm kind of looking at this week is Callum Mills and Jack Steele, who are actually the same price at the moment, 884k. So yeah, not too sure which one I'll go with, but it's definitely out of those 2. And yeah, I'll definitely make that decision as the week goes on. Look at who has the better run home. So yeah, be either Steele or Mills will come in for me this week for Oliver if he misses. And then that leaves me with a bit of cash for my second trade. And yeah, that trade is up in the air a bit. What I'm looking to do at this stage is trade out someone like Darcy Cameron to Tim English, who, English came back this week. He scored 99, I think it was, so he was okay. And I think we'll all need him in our sides at some point to end the season. So that's what I look to do there. And Darcy Cameron, he's going okay, but with Grundy due back in the next few weeks and he's starting to lose a bit of cash. So I think this week is not a bad week to look to move him on. The other options that I could look at is Daniel Rioli. I could look to trade out, but yeah, he's just flying at the moment, so I don't think there's too much of a need to look to move him on. And he's also got North Melbourne this week, and he's increasing in price every week, so I think I can afford to hold on to him for now, Dan Rioli. So yeah, that leaves me with kind of Darcy Cameron as the next option to trade out. So those are the sort of trades I'm looking at the moment. Oliver to a Mills or a Steele, and then Cameron up to Tim English, I think. So yeah, that's what I'm looking at this week. As for some general trade targets that I would recommend this week, Jack Steele and Callum Mills that I touched on are both great options this week and still come at a decent price, I think, for what they're capable of. Tim English, as I touched on, he'll be a top 6 forward, top 2 ruck, whichever way you want to put it. So I think we'll need him in our teams at some point. And then Max Gawn is the other one who came back this week and he didn't score well, but yeah, as a result, he's very cheap now in price, and we could probably wait a week or 2 on him. Definitely drop a bit more in price, but yeah, if you're looking for a ruck option, look no further than Max Gawn as well. So yeah, I'll definitely look to bring him in, but I'd probably lean towards bringing in English first, I think. So yeah, they're both great options anyway. So they're the trade targets, I should say, that I'd recommend this week. And as for the captain options that I like this week, Rory Laird against the Pies on Saturday afternoon is definitely the pick of them this week. And yeah, he's flying at the moment, Laird, and Collingwood are always a team that definitely leak a lot of points to midfielders. So he'd definitely be my number 1 option. And on Friday night as a vice captain option, I do like Jack Macrae to bounce back this week. We saw Andy Brayshaw do well against the Saints last week. So I think Macrae is in for a big one there. So definitely chuck the VC on him, I think. And then the other options I like, Andy Brayshaw against the Swans on Saturday night. I think he should go pretty well. And then someone like Tuke Miller on the Sunday twilight game against the Bombers could be a little bit of a risk considering what we saw Caldwell do to Lachie Neale the week before, but he should be a pretty good option overall. But I think the first three, McRae, Laird and Brayshaw, should be pretty good options this week. So that's all for today's video, guys. Thanks again for watching, and as always, it'd be much appreciated if you could like, comment, subscribe. Tell me what your trade plans are at this stage of the week. I'm happy to give a second opinion on them as always. And yeah, thanks again for watching, and good luck in round 8.